Good afternoon. We are back, and we are going to keep moving through story. Not that I'm crazy about doing story right now, but simply that in order to reach some of our goals, we need to get some of it knocked out. Now, what we have already accomplished is we don't actually have to do any more Heart of Thorns to get the stuff that we want. We don't have to do any more Path of Fire to get the stuff that we want. We still do need some Season 3, some Season 4, Icebreed Saga, End of Dragons. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to jump back into End of Dragons. Kind of... And this is... Don't get me wrong. This is a very minor complaint. But it is a minor complaint. I'm about to pay like 10 silver for a waypoint charge. Because the ability to go back and forth between, kind of main Tyria here and End of Dragons way down here. Like, the way to do that for free would be either to take the portal here, which is not available to me yet because I'm not far enough in the story, or to use an item that you get partway through the End of Dragons story that basically allows you to jump straight to Arborstone, which is, like, right here. Since we don't have that available, we are just going to fork over the money to jump back into this story. Let's see. Looks like we want to be... Actually, I think we want to be right here. Yeah, 10 silver. But we do have a little bit more gold. So since I last played, some of the stuff that I put for sale in the trade post did sell. A lot of it did not sell. The trade post is kind of weird these days. Things are just going really cheap. I think that is the number of players who are generating like rares and ecto and stuff like that versus the number of players that feel the need to pay for it is really out of whack, and I think that's just the maturation of the game. But be that as it may,
You the one needing a lift out to the sea caves?
it's hard to sell stuff for any meaningful amount right now. So as a result, a lot of the stuff is still for sale. I might have even gone a little bit high on some of those things, even though it didn't feel that way. So we're going to have to wait for that stuff to sell. But I also did some dailies as well. So we are up to about 17 gold. Short of that now that we spent almost 11 silver getting down here. Just the same, slow progress. So 22 gold, 25 gold.
Slightly more important things than
Let's see. Yeah, I think it's about 25 gold. Will kind of be a benchmark for us, just because I know that we're going to lose all that obtaining the skimmer and the jackal. So there is, a little bit of cost associated with those, and we're just going to have to accept that. There is also cost associated with getting the Skyscale, and we're still a ways away from that. I could kind of blitz that a little bit, but it's really not worth the stress associated with rushing Skyscale. In the near future, though, we do need to start the Season 4 story to further advance, we need to get that ball rolling, because at some point, yeah, we're gonna have to get all that done.
All right, that's as close as we get.
So to get Skyscale, we will need access to every Season 4 map. You don't actually have to finish all of Season 4 story to get Skyscale. You do need to finish the last chapter. It's helpful to finish all the Season 4 story, because what we're going to do is we're going to chase a bunch of achievements here.
Her vital signs are completely normal, but her magic is nearly non-existent.
Side
They
stories.
drained her magic?
Yes.
So
And that extractor
this,
thing they shot her with left us
this,
no clue how
and
it works.
this.
Or how to cure her.
Each at Tier 3 give us the currencies that we need for Skyscale. So that's actually, versus farming those
I could get
currencies,
used to that. Consider me
it's probably actually easier just to do the story. And that story is going to give us Path of Fire experience anyway, as is navigating those maps and doing events on those maps. So,
She knows you're here.
and that's good, because whereas getting Heart of Thorns experience is pretty easy. You just grab Octavine, Chat Garant, Dragon Stand.
Champion.
There really isn't an equivalent in Pathfire. Like, there are meta events on those maps, but they don't draw the crowds the same way. And they don't.
As if something is missing.
A couple of them don't even feel as straightforward.
I see.
And
Commander,
Desert Highlands
can we
is
talk
just
over
like
here for a
that
second?
whole map is kind of nonsense when it comes to that concept. So, racking up good experience is a little bit more difficult in Pathfire, and those season 4 maps count as Pathfire experience, and so that's going to give us what we need in that capacity.
Well, there's a great big ocean right out there.
But that's a little bit further down the road. For right now,
You have fishing
let's
supplies.
kind of try to move End of Dragons
It
forward a
hasn't
little
been
bit.
much to do with Kaz spending all day in meetings. It's
The goal for
meditative.
End of Dragons Masteries was I can't even look at Jade Bots yet. Anyway, within Jade Bots, there's one that allows you to set your own waypoint. And while that is not a must-have, it is certainly a nice-to-have. So that's going to be our goal.
What you're saying is we travel through the fractals in the mists, find our past selves, and steal from them?
So that we travel through the fractals in the mist, find our past selves, and steal from them, and that becomes like how the Aether Blades eventually like repair their ships and get out of the mist and stuff. What a cool idea! What a super cool thing that is part of the backstory for Anka, the midway villain, but we as the hero don't really touch that. Like that's something that we hear about, but we don't see it impact us in any way, or like we don't get involved in that. It is such a cool idea. I definitely wish that, and maybe the right place to further examine that is actually
Hey,
Fractals.
Jory, I found a few recordings, but no leads.
And that'd be cool.
Only pirates have
That
so
would
much
be a
trouble.
lot of fun. A fractal that kind of examines
Think we might be onto something.
that whole thing that's described there. Not necessarily that we'd battle ourselves. That's another thing where, like you only got to do that once, and we've done that before within the Guild Wars 2 franchise, or the Guild Wars world in general. That's been done before, so let's not do that again. But maybe a fractal where we encounter the Aether Blades when they encounter themselves, and there's that weird kind of dissonance of us. I don't know, like fighting two Aetherblade bosses at the same time. Like they're both the same boss, but they're on opposite ends of a platform or something. Like there's cool stuff that could take place there. It'd be fun to see. Unfortunately, the release cadence of Fractals these days probably precludes anything like that, unless they really deliberately want to make it a point of doing it, because that release cadence is so protracted over the last couple of years that I think Sunqua Vale was the last one, which interestingly I haven't even done. It's the one Fractal I haven't done yet. And I don't remember how long ago that was, but I'm comfortable saying it was a year ago, because I'm pretty sure it came out well before End of Dragons. And End of Dragons has been out like 10 months, and I don't think we have any indications that there is another Fractal on the horizon. Doesn't mean that there's not. It could be that they introduce another Fractal with the next Living World, or the first chapter of the next Living World season. It's very possible. It's somewhat possible. We won't know if that's going to be the case until we get the trailer, and usually the trailer is a week before launch, so we are about, in theory, speculation, to be honest. We're 2.5 months away, maybe 3 months away from seeing a trailer for the next Living World installment. And I say that assuming that their goal will be to release the new Living World story 3 months after they finish Season 1, which they have now finished Season 1. Was it a week ago or was it just a few days ago? I don't remember now. But relatively recently they finished Season 1, so... Now, presumably, we will get... do I want to go take part in that event? I don't, to be honest.
Feel the fury.
Goric.
There are definitely times in Guild Wars 2 when I wish they would
I need to concentrate.
throttle back some of the contradiction between
Almost.
what the world is in terms of a lack of technology
All right, that's it.
and what the world is in terms of some of the technology that is out there. For me, that really... Like, the spot where I really felt it went completely out of bounds was there's some point
Aren't you?
Of course.
when...
Sorry, I was.
So there's a whole stretch
Let's find that entrance.
Even secret doors
with, like,
have
Path of
doorways.
Fire in Season
Let's
4.
take a gander.
Season 3... Yeah, like, it's introduced in Season 3, and it goes all the way through Path of Fire and into Season 4. And actually... Did it not just happen a few minutes ago where Timmy talks to us over the ridiculous, like... I think we had that just a few minutes ago, where Timmy talked to us on this, like, communicator device.
Over here. Found an Aether Blade.
So that communicator I find annoying. I mean, honestly, like,
This wall.
global
It's a hologram
handheld
of hard
communication
light.
capability
Whoever built
is,
this
like,
is a
something that...
competent holosmith.
Must be some
Like,
trick
even
to
today,
deactivating
militaries are kind of trying to
Okay,
sort
so
through
in short,
because,
to
yes,
make
it's
hard light,
achievable
you
with,
need a
like,
photon forge. It's the only
you know,
way to get
satellites
past the light
or
particles.
cell phone
I
networks,
feel like
but
we should be paying you for this
it is also
masterclass
dependent
in
on both those
Holosmith
both those
jargon.
constructs,
Oh, I love
either a
talking
cell
about this.
backbone or a
Anyway,
satellite constellation.
This forge is custom built.
So the idea of just like having something in your
Its
hand that
meter has
communicates
a
with
critical
somebody
flaw.
else with something in
said
their
this would
hand
be short.
is like
Oh,
still
a
not
continuous
something.
combinatorial
And no,
cell should
and
overload
also
the
though we
forge.
don't have lasers that
Try
shoot
that.
dragons, right? So I guess you know, accept it for what it is. But whoops, that's actually not the way I wanted to do that. I kind of wanted to. There we go, closer to the thing.
Excellent work, Commander. Come on.
What are you? It's the commander.
With the whole communicator thing though, there was a point when somebody makes a joke about like don't take a recording of this conversation and like pass it on to other people, and it very much came off like a teenager saying, "Hey, bro, don't
Timey.
don't
it's
put
me.
this on Instagram,"
There's definitely an Aether Blade camp in Zen
or you know,
Dungeon.
don't
Just like I told you.
retweet this.
I'm leaving now.
Wait. What?
For that
Going? My friend has a lot
to exist
answer
with
for.
Interior was
She's
just,
going to look me in the eye when she does.
it was galling, man.
I'm
It
on my
was, you know,
way.
what are we?
Uh,
And as a studio, ArenaNet have
Yeah,
always
you
found it
can't-
kind of entertaining to
could still
insert
be
like weird little
dangerous.
jokes like that and
I'll
stuff.
go with her.
You know, there
Don't
was a
worry.
point in
Tiny, you stay with Oreen.
the original Guild Wars when there was like a joke made about like an in-game joke between like two NPCs or something like that,
Where is
kind of referencing the idea of like
place
a
definitely
television.
I'm telling you, it's not enough.
So that has always kind of been their sense of humor.
Hear that?
But man, is it stupid? Like it is just dumb. I- It's one of my least. I do love Guild Wars 2. I love the gameplay. I love the character design. Even if I don't love all the characters, I love the world they exist within. You know, there are a lot of things they do very well. You know, the wardrobe system is fantastic. They do collections and achievements fairly
That's a
well.
sore spot we'll be getting back to in a second. Where
But they
is
have
my
their
train?
moments when they are just
swore an
stupid.
oath to my captain.
And I guess you know, a fan of any game, you know, I bet
Nitrogen betrayed
one of my
her
brothers plays
closest
Final
friends.
Fantasy 14 a lot,
How do you
and he
she
says
won't
the same thing
betray
about Final
you?
Fantasy 14. He's like, yeah, you know, I love it. The storytelling's amazing, and this, you know, this is good and that's good, but sometimes when they do this one thing, like it just drives me insane. So, you know, I think I'm pretty average for like any MMO player to kind of be salty about one particular aspect of their favorite game. And for me, with ArenaNet, it is they literally cannot get out of their own way when it comes to like you know, every now and then you have these grown adults that just insist on being like 12-year-olds in terms of how they develop the game. Not from a, like, lack of maturity in an obscene way, but just, like, just stupid stuff. So this next part, when I initially saw it, definitely mixed feelings, and truth be told, still kind of mixed feelings on
Now I've got their dragon champion.
them making
Here
my
to
Trin a
tell me
Revenant.
how terrible.
I definitely see the logic in pairing her with Scarlet.
Wow.
I definitely see the logic there too. So
You
I
just-
don't think I hate it.
You just brought
It was
everyone,
weird.
huh?
It is
You
weird.
can feel sorry
Was
for
and
yourself
is
later. What
weird.
are you planning, Trin? Where'd you send your Aether Blades?
Ha! Me? Send Aether Blades? Why exactly would I do that?
I don't know. Why'd you order them to kill Aurene with that magic extractor?
It wasn't... I mean, I didn't mean to.
After all we've been through, everything I gave you, this is how you repay me.
I do understand within the construct of the story
You-
why
You're right. You can't
Marjorie
trust the
and June
I'm done.
and Casimir, you know,
should
why people
finish
are
this
so
now.
salty with my Trin. I think it's a little bit
What are you doing? Prioritizing targets.
overstated. I mean, like,
Listen to them lie.
I don't know that.
Never beat you, Commander. Too many scores to settle.
I don't know
accounts.
that
Just
that
need a
it's
little help.
it feels forced.
Just a little more.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Their disdain for my Trin is so extra, it feels a little bit forced.
Spend a few
I
years
think
in the mist.
probably, oh man. I think probably it could have been done in a slightly different way, maybe a little bit more subtle.
It's the only explanation.
And I say that as someone who, you know, is,
She's not in control of the spirit she's
you know,
involved
I've interacted with mortal enemies. Like, I know what that is to do that.
I need your power.
And I don't recall it ever, you know, at least for me, it was never a thing where it's like, you know, I'm so super salty. Like, that tends to be something, that level of, you know, venom tends to be something that, from my experience, is usually reserved for people who aren't directly involved in the conflict. People who are directly involved tend to be a little more circumspect. Personal opinion, and certainly no one's obligated to share it, but
You're taking too much. She's losing control. If we don't stop
alright, so now we get the Scarlet side of the whole
her voice.
Revenant thing, which is cool. Again, don't hate it. It's interesting they chose to go that direction. They could have done, and certainly had they, you know, I was talking earlier about how I'd love to have seen, you know, a scenario where the Aether Blades are actually something that kind of remains a long-term part of the game, which I don't think we're going to get. In that scenario, I think they might have, yeah, maybe they still will, but I'm not completely sold on that at this point. And if they were going to, I think you would want to keep my Trin around longer, which would probably mean separating her from Scarlet and not doing this sort of marriage between, because what we don't need, in my opinion, 100% don't need, is I'm kind of getting worn out on killing them. What we definitely do not need is more Scarlet. Like, I'm okay that they gave us more Scarlet in this capacity, tied to my Trin in this way, but we definitely did not need, like, her to be like some kind of recurring character or something. That would not have been satisfying in any way whatsoever.
She's gone. Scarlet Briar. You think she could be behind this?
She died on the Breachmaker. Like Kaz said, that was just an echo.
I can't hear you. I can't. The laughing. What's wrong with her? Revenants can have a
So
hard time.
what I
tuning out
don't
voices
think
in the mist.
they did
Whitlock actually needed a blind
with this
spot
whole
first.
Mytrin as a
Something to help
revenant,
focus.
Give me a
Scarlet as her
come
channeled
up with
spirit
something.
thing,
While you take care of that,
I don't think they did anything to effectively clear
Okay.
up
This'll
the
make me
relationship
blindfold.
between a revenant and the spirits that they
Here,
channel.
Take this.
If you play as revenant, you have conversations with the spirits you channel.
thank you. It's quiet.
And there
Mom,
see's to be
tell us what you
you know,
ordered
during
your
the
Aether
during the
Blades
End
to
of Dragon
do.
story, there seems to
Where
be
are they building?
interaction
They're about to attack one
between
of your processing facilities.
Mytrin
But
and
not
Scarlet.
on my orders.
You're their captain.
No.
But we are also told that you know
Uncle
it's
mutinied.
the spirits that the
Took my ships and my
from the
crew.
mist that the
Said
revenants
I was
channel are
emotionally
echoes, or
compromised
they are
because of
memories of the mist
history.
of these particular.
Anka staged a pirate mutiny.
Surprised?
Not in the least. How do we find her?
But in season 4, we also get Bram, which we will end up having to do this particular instance during our playthrough to get Skyscale. So we'll see it later. Bram interacts with his mother in spirit form, and at no point are we given the impression that that is an echo.
Would I? When Ivan makes an oath.
And in fact, Timey interacts with not Vec. What is? I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, one of the like Logan and Ritlock's guildmates from the books.
That's a very wide
Snaff. Timey interacts with Snaff. And Snaff talks about how he is aware of who Timey is and is watching her progress. Not an echo.
Anka wouldn't just attack any target. She
So
knows
there
what
is
she
an
wants.
immense lack of clarity. They've really muddied the waters
How about
on
we
what
help you into a prison
spirits
cell?
in the mist or
Or did you forget about
memories
your
in the
back on
mist,
Lion's
these
Arch?
echoes or
No,
whatever they are or are not.
I can't
A lot of
undo
contradictions.
what I've done. But
And I think
can help
probably
you
at the
find
end of the day,
Anka.
the studio's okay with that
Please,
because
let
it.
me do this.
I think they think those contradictions leave it ambiguous.
You're right.
I don't feel like contradictions
Anka
are
has to be
ambiguous.
stopped.
They're
Before we have another lion
lacks
to handle.
two areas where you lack ambiguity that do not agree.
Commander.
That is not
what do you
ambiguous.
think?
We'll take
But I think the
Trin
studio's
with us
probably
under
good with it, and I
careful
don't think they
watch.
feel a particular
And
need to
Captain
clean
Trin,
that up from a lore
One
perspective.
wrong move out of you.
And I am sympathetic to the fact that when you're writing the story, like, you know, there's a very good possibility the folks who wrote, you know, End of Dragons or Season 4 or Iceberg Saga or whatever, may not have been in as much into the lore as some of the players are. Like,
we need to get ahead of it.
I think it's probably hard for a studio
In
to
the
do.
meantime,
So.
we can head to New Kyning and
Get arrested for
I
not
mean, we'll give them a pass,
taking
even though I think it's sloppy. That's what I'm saying. It's sloppy.
Nightmare, Commander.
Sounds like.
never thought I'd see the day. Think we can trust her?
What choice do we
Oh,
have?
hello, Raptor.
She knows Anka. And for what it's worth, I felt she was sincere about
I
it.
always find that entertaining. I
She's
never
committed terrible acts.
get salty
The
about
people of
that.
Lion's Arch deserve
So for all the things that
justice.
I say are like,
It
it's
has
immersion
been 8
breaking. Heck,
years. There's gotta be
giant plush
space for
raptors
people
falling
to
from the
change,
sky never
to
bothers me.
grow.
Huge
all
cat
going to be better
pillows
people,
that
right?
people lounge around on, which really, you know, if I
Well,
had 80 more
I
gems,
just want to say
I would probably
thank
get that
you,
stupid
Commander.
thing. I kind of love
I
it.
can tell you're trying to be more
I still haven't
diplomatic.
bought it for my daughter's account yet.
Whatever I
I
can do to
probably
make your job
should.
easier.
That is just, I might buy it for my main account too, so that both she and I can hang around
The
on
ambassador was
cat
just
pillows.
updating me on your encounter, or lack thereof, with the Aether Blades.
The one called Anka staged a mutiny. We just missed them.
You have an intriguing air about you, Commander. You fail continuously, yet it does not seem to impact your morale. Your efforts have been
So Joko used to do the same thing. Used to like throw shade at us. Because like borderline, oh, we got more people falling. I love it. Like borderline fourth wall breaking type stuff, where it's like, oh, you nearly destroyed the world because you killed dragons that didn't, and disrupted the flow of magic and all this. And it's like, well, that was like, that was exposition. It was plot line, and how Joko knows that. Yet he's throwing it at us. And it was like intentionally kind of immersion breaking type thing. Like I said, like kind of breaking the fourth wall type stuff almost.
I'm sorry.
And with, I don't know, I did not love Joko nearly as much as some folks did. I don't dislike him. I just wasn't in love with the whole Joko thing. And if they really wanted to commit to the Joko thing, they should have committed and made that like an entire Living World season, instead of, oh, forgot to take a number, instead of making it what it was, which was less than a Living World season.
About time. I've been waiting all
But
morning.
Navon does the same thing.
So sorry.
I just with a little bit smoother delivery, so it's a little bit more. It's subtle enough that it doesn't feel like
Okay, number 43. Step right up.
like the character sat down and read the plot notes that the studio had, which is the way it felt with Joko. It doesn't feel that way with Navon.
So sorry. This appears to be the olive green form.
So this loading screen actually doesn't do justice to what Kainang ends up being. I mean, this is... When I first saw this, I was pretty impressed. I remember a core game, like the ships, like that one over there, that one, this one in ore. Just the size of the ships and the fact that you could get inside of them, and they had like multiple decks. At that time, I remember thinking, that's pretty impressive. Like, look how they did that.
Wow.
Kainang.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Separating, like, the story in Kainang or the meta event in Kainang or whatever, and just looking at it as a playable area is as impressive as anything that ArenaNet has ever done. It is, I think, for me, probably the single most impressive map. Is it my favorite map? Maybe it would make my top 5 just based on how impressive it is and how cool it is to wander around or whatever. But
Welcome to New
I don't know. It may lack in some other areas to where I don't know if it'd make my top 5 or not. But solely in terms of what they put together.
June has a jade processor.
Oh man, it's
there now.
just
Check
amazing.
for any sign of the Aether Blades.
I mean, you can get on top of this huge, giant, like, piece of jade, which really is crazy. I mean, this is legitimately like a.
Still trying to tune out those.
Well, look right here.
voices
1,
from the
2,
mist?
3, 4,
It's not the
5, 6,
voices.
7, 8,
It's the
9, 10,
grog.
11. That's
We should
11
probably get
stories
you
right there.
something to eat before we have to put you in front of
So
people.
let's roughly estimate this at 30 stories. So really, we're looking, in theory,
I'm sure we
if we
can
buy
find
these if we take these windows at face value, which I don't know, if I had a Skyscale, we could go up there and we might discover that it's 2 windows per person or something like that. But in theory, this thing is like 50 stories tall.
If you try anything funny, you'll be
And you can actually go up to the top of it and jump off and plunge to Earth for what seems like an eternity. It's pretty cool. All right, so to wrap it up, we're at roughly 14 and a half hours. We're at mastery level 15, still staying ahead of 1 mastery point per hour. That's not going to last for much longer, but we're doing pretty good. We've now advanced to where we're going to start getting our Jadebot masteries and Ended Dragons, which is what we needed out of Ended Dragons. We got both Raptor and Springer, and when we start doing Season 4, we're going to advance this real quick and get Skimmer and Jackal. Heart of Thorns, we're doing really good here. We're already ready to start lean techniques on gliding. We don't need anything else on Itzel. We don't need anything else on Exalted. And we're working on new Hawkwallows, which is as far as we need to go there. And then this is going to be Living World Season 3. We're going to have to come all the way down here. Didn't touch this at all today, but we're real close to moving on with Pact Commander line, which of course is easy up here and just stupid long down here. But moving forward really nicely. In terms of gold, very little progress today. The story's not super rewarding. We'll do better when we start getting into doing some more Fractals dungeons, and maybe Silver Waste and Drizzlewood runs and stuff like that. But overall, pretty happy where I'm at under 15 hours, and we will pick it up again in the near future. Have a good evening and enjoy your weekend.